Imagine slashing your housing cost so low it barely shows up in your budget. Not someday, not after the crash, right now.
Soon it'll cost more to camp in Arkansas. The Parks, Recreation, and Travel Commission tentatively approved.
Because across the country, there are 5 states where RV living is practically free, and almost no one outside the full-timer crowd is paying attention. In these states, monthly pad fees drop under $200. Utilities stay predictable. Taxes and registration don't bleed you dry every year. For some people, just switching states could free up $5 grand or more without changing rigs, jobs, or lifestyle. But here's what matters. These opportunities are already tightening. As more R-Vers start chasing the same cheap sites, the best spots will disappear first. So if you want in before that happens, let's walk through the 5 states where RV living is practically free, and how people are actually doing it. Arkansas. Tucked between quiet highways and overlooked counties, a surprising price trend has been hiding in plain sight. The moment you start looking at the real numbers, something becomes clear. This state is quietly offering some of the lowest long-term RV living costs anywhere in the country, and hardly anyone outside the region seems to notice. When people talk about escaping high pad fees, they usually look west or north. But Arkansas is the sleeper pick that keeps proving itself every single year. The reason Arkansas stands out begins with its long-term pricing. When the latest state park fee sheets were updated for 2025, several rural parks listed full hookup monthly rates between $185 and $205. Spell that out. We are talking about less than $250 for a legal, maintained, inspected spot with water, sewer, and electricity. Meanwhile, many private parks inside the same counties hover only slightly higher. For anyone fighting rising pad fees in overstressed markets, these numbers matter. They offer a real lifeline to anyone trying to bring monthly costs under control. Now, the obvious question is why Arkansas can afford to keep pricing this low. The answer comes down to simple economics. Counties here expanded tourism budgets, not to chase tourists, but to stabilize rural parks that were losing foot traffic. When these counties realized that year-round RV residents could serve as a financial anchor, they shifted strategy. Instead of raising rates, they lowered monthly costs to maintain steady occupancy. That move turned seasonal parks into reliable 12-month operations. It may not sound dramatic, but when you look at the actual accounting documents tied to those budgets, the pattern is unmistakable. Utilities add another layer. Arkansas has some of the lowest rural electric cooperative rates in the region. Where other states charge high kilowatt-hour premiums, Arkansas keeps costs predictable. If you have ever opened an electric bill after running a heater for a few cold nights, you know exactly how unusual predictable pricing is. These small monthly differences add up. Over the course of a year, a resident can save several $100s simply because the rate structure is stable. Combine that with low propane costs in many counties, and the total living expense drops noticeably. The terrain and layout of Arkansas also help the overall picture. Unlike states where long-term RV sites fall primarily near tourist corridors, Arkansas spreads its parks out across quieter counties. That means less congestion, fewer seasonal price spikes, and more availability when you need it. For someone tired of hearing no monthly sites available, this alone can feel like a relief. You are not fighting weekend traffic, nor dealing with inflated rates designed to extract every possible dollar from visitors. There is, however, a detail worth keeping in mind. While Arkansas offers exceptionally low prices, not every park maintains those rates. Areas around Hot Springs National Park tend to charge more due to demand. If your goal is genuine long-term savings, look to counties farther from the primary tourist lanes. Those are the places where the numbers consistently hold steady and where monthly pricing remains grounded in logic rather than tourism pressure. Think about what this means in practical terms. If someone is currently paying $600 or more per month for an RV pad in another state, shifting to a $200 site in Arkansas can cut annual living costs by nearly $5,000. That is not theory, that is simple subtraction applied to real fee sheets. And when you are on a fixed income, every predictable expense is a shield against uncertainty. Arkansas gives you that shield. There is a quiet confidence to this state. It does not need to broadcast value. The numbers do it for you, and as costs rise elsewhere, Arkansas seems committed to holding its ground. That combination of stability, affordability, and available space makes Arkansas a realistic contender for anyone searching for a place where RV living does not drain the wallet month after month. Now, Arkansas sets the stage, but the next state changes the entire equation by eliminating whole categories of living expenses altogether. South Dakota. Some states reduce the cost of living. South Dakota removes entire categories of it. The moment you dig into the real paperwork, you see something unusual. This state is structured in a way that quietly wipes out fees, taxes, and recurring expenses that people in other states simply accept as unavoidable. For anyone relying on stable numbers, South Dakota does not just lower the monthly cost of living in an RV. It resets the baseline entirely. The first thing worth understanding is how South Dakota treats residency. Unlike states that tie you to property taxes, annual inspections, or steep registration bills, South Dakota designed its system around mobility decades ago. That decision created an environment where people living on the road can establish residency without being punished for not owning a permanent house. When you read through the Department of Motor Vehicles fee schedule for 2025, what stands out immediately is how low everything is. A typical one-year registration for many motorhomes and tow vehicles lands far below what other states charge, often just a fraction of the price. It is not a discount. It is the base structure. Then you move to taxes. South Dakota does not collect an income tax at all. Spell that out. Zero state income tax, no matter the bracket, no matter the retirement source. When you calculate what that means over a full year, the savings become enormous. Someone living on a modest fixed income could easily save several $1,000s simply by shifting residency here, and that is before touching campground rates. Those campground numbers are where the picture sharpens. Rural counties throughout South Dakota released updated rate sheets for 2025, and several stand out. The Brown County Fairgrounds lists long-term stays at $200 per month, with electricity included. Sioux County post rates between $165 and $195, depending on the amperage required. These are not promotional rates. These are official county documents, stamped, dated, and published publicly. You can trace every number directly back to the source. Now ask the important question: why would a state allow costs to stay this low while the rest of the country raises them? The answer comes down to a blend of population density, tourism strategy, and logistical reality. South Dakota has long stretches of open land, modest traffic, and counties that depend on steady year-round occupancy rather than seasonal spikes. A long-term RV resident provides predictable income that helps stabilize these parks. As a result, counties keep their rates grounded in logic, not hype. Utilities also matter here. Electricity in many rural areas is supplied by cooperative systems, operating at reasonable kilowatt-hour rates. When counties include electric usage in a flat monthly fee, they do so knowing the average draw of long-term RV residents. That means you are not getting hit with unpredictable billing or sudden surprise charges. Predictability is a form of savings, and South Dakota offers that in a way few states can match. There is another practical advantage in this state: the pace. You do not see the same overcrowded parks, hunting for premium weekends, or rapid-fire turnover that drives rates higher elsewhere. Instead, you find long, open rows of sites, well-maintained, with availability when needed. That alone eliminates one of the most frustrating parts of modern RV living: the constant competition for space. But South Dakota is not without considerations. Not every county park operates through winter, and some locations shut down when temperatures drop. If you plan to stay during freezing months, you must confirm year-round service. Still, even with that limitation, the sheer financial benefit overshadows the inconvenience. Add everything together: low registration fees, no state income tax, predictable utilities, and long-term pad rates starting around $200. And the yearly savings become undeniable. Someone moving from a $600 monthly pad to a $200 site could save nearly $5,000 per year, and that is before considering the tax advantages. South Dakota works because its system was built deliberately, not accidentally. The numbers remain steady year after year, and counties continue to publish transparent fee schedules that anyone can verify. It is straightforward, predictable, and grounded in real-world logic, not marketing. Now, while South Dakota removes major costs, the next state takes a very different approach, dropping monthly rates below the price of maintaining the parks themselves. If insights like these help you stay ahead of rising costs, make sure you like the video and subscribe. And if you've seen similar price shifts in your area, share your thoughts below so others can benefit from your experience. Mississippi. Every now and then, a state reveals its value not through discounts, but through survival decisions written directly into county records. The moment you review county documents, meeting notes, and updated fee sheets, you see something unusual. Long-term R-Vee rates priced below the actual operating cost of the parks themselves. That is not speculation. That is written, published, and approved by county boards across the state. When a region begins lowering prices not to compete, but to survive, it creates opportunities you almost never see anywhere else. The shift began with population decline. Several Mississippi counties reported shrinking residency over the last few years, leaving public campgrounds half empty for long stretches. Without consistent use, these parks risked closure. Instead of raising prices, counties pushed in the opposite direction, reducing monthly rates to $150, $160, and $175 just to keep people coming through the gates. These numbers appear on real county rate sheets for 2025, not promotional flyers. Pearl River County became the clearest example. Their public documents show long-term R-Vee stays listed at $150 to $175 per month for full hookups. That includes water, sewer, and the kind of reliable electrical access that many states now charge premium rates for. When a park operates with empty rows, officials must choose between shutting down or welcoming long-term residents. Mississippi chose the second option, and the financial impact for anyone seeking stable living costs is immediate. What makes these numbers even more surprising is the transparency. Mississippi counties hold open meetings and publish their decisions online. You can read exactly why these rates remain low. There is no marketing spin, no attempt to hide the reasoning. It is simple math. A partially occupied park loses money. A consistently filled park stays alive, so counties decided that lowering long-term fees was cheaper than permanent closure. When you connect those dots, the logic becomes undeniable. Utility pricing adds another advantage. Electricity in many Mississippi rural districts stays within predictable ranges, and long-term residents often receive flat-rate billing from county-managed parks. That means no sudden jumps, no surprise charges, and no unpredictable winter spikes. The combination of steady electrical costs and low propane pricing creates a rare balance. Residents know exactly what to expect each month. In an era when people worry about every uncertain bill, predictability carries real value. Mississippi's geography also works in favor of long-term R-Vee living. Many parks sit near quiet lakes, small towns, and low-traffic corridors. They offer space without competition. You do not face the reservation battles common in heavily touristed states. There is room to breathe, room to stay, and room to plan ahead without fear of being forced out. When housing markets tighten elsewhere, Mississippi becomes a kind of safety valve, where monthly costs return to something reasonable and grounded. There are, however, practical details worth noting. Some regions are prone to flooding, especially near river basins. Choosing the right park matters. Counties with higher elevations or better drainage maintain those same low rates without the seasonal risk. Even with this consideration, the overall financial picture remains one of the strongest in the country. For someone paying $500 or $600 per month elsewhere, shifting to a $150 Mississippi site can reduce annual costs by several $1,000s. Mississippi earns its position because the savings come from structural reality, not temporary discounts. Counties publish these numbers openly. They lowered rates intentionally. They maintained them consistently, and they continue to see long-term residents filling sites that would otherwise sit abandoned. That is why Mississippi belongs on this list. Not for hype, but for verifiable value. And as impressive as these savings are, the next state opens an entirely different door, offering miles of legal, no-cost land that changes the equation completely. New Mexico. Drive far enough west, and the landscape opens up into a kind of freedom most people never realize is legal or this affordable. The most striking part is that this is not hidden, restricted, or limited to insiders. It is written plainly into federal and county documents. Massive stretches of land are designated for dispersed camping, and the scale is staggering. When you understand how many acres are legally available, the numbers change how you think about affordable living entirely today. These opportunities exist because New Mexico holds enormous areas of Bureau of Land Management property, and those areas were deliberately structured for public access. The 2025 recreation maps show more than 5 million acres marked for free use. That figure alone reveals how unusual this state truly is. Most regions across the country restrict where an R-V can stay, enforce limits aggressively, or charge high nightly fees. New Mexico takes the opposite approach, encouraging extended use for everyone. But the legal access is only half of the value. Several New Mexico towns maintain city-managed lots that allow extremely low nightly rates, sometimes as little as $0 to $10 depending on the service level. Truth or Consequences is one well-documented example, showing clearly posted rates that confirm how serious these communities are about supporting travelers. When combined with free federal land, these low-cost municipal options create a layered system that keeps expenses predictable, manageable, and low overall year-round. The scale of New Mexico's open land changes the entire budgeting picture. Instead of calculating nightly fees, residents focus on propane, water management, and tank cycles. With a well-maintained solar setup, the ongoing cost can drop to well under $70 per month. That estimate comes directly from real usage reports across dispersed zones. When nightly charges disappear, the savings become measurable, predictable, and steady, creating a reliable foundation for anyone living long-term on public land through every single season. Another advantage is how New Mexico manages rotations. Many dispersed areas operate with simple 14-day limits, yet enforcement remains practical rather than punitive. Residents move a short distance, stay within designated boundaries, and continue their routines without disruption. This rhythm allows long-term living without the constant pressure found in heavily regulated states. Because the land area is so vast, officials do not face overcrowding problems. The result is a low-stress environment where the rules support both conservation and cost-conscious travelers. Infrastructure adds to New Mexico's appeal. Towns sit near public dump stations, affordable propane refills, and reliable water sources, all priced for residents rather than high-volume tourism, keeping costs grounded. Over a month, fuel, propane, and groceries dominate expenses while housing barely registers. Beyond cost, the state offers space, quiet, and freedom from crowded parks or inflated seasonal fees. Clear rules and abundant land simplify daily life, saving fuel, reducing frustration, and easing the stress that comes from constantly searching for available spots. In the end, New Mexico stands apart because its affordability comes from structure, not promotions. The vast land, the federal designations, the municipal participation, and the practical enforcement all work together. This is not a temporary discount or a limited window. It is a long-standing system created through geography, policy, and public planning. For anyone seeking long-term stability in an R-V, New Mexico delivers a combination of low cost and predictable routine that is extremely difficult to match today. If you want updates every time new states adjust their long-term rates or release fresh data, subscribe now. Staying informed is the best way to keep your living costs predictable while everyone else reacts to changes after they happen. Oklahoma. Sometimes the lowest costs are not promotional or hidden. They're built directly into the way a state competes for long-term residents. When you look at the real numbers, the published rate sheets, and the fee structures that counties use, it becomes clear why so many long-term R-V travelers quietly settle here. This state does not rely on loopholes or temporary discounts. It relies on stability, competition, and predictable pricing that stays grounded year after year without sudden jumps or seasonal shocks. The foundation of Oklahoma's affordability begins with its private parks. Many of them publish monthly rates between $200 and $250 for full hookups. These are not fringe, off-brand locations. They are legitimate, maintained parks offering water, sewer, and consistent electrical service. When you compare those numbers to the $400 or $500 monthly rates that other states now consider normal, Oklahoma stands out immediately. The cost reduction is direct, visible, and easy to verify through public listings. Public parks in Oklahoma push the value even further. Updated fee tables for 2025 show long-term rates between $180 and $220 in numerous counties. These numbers appear repeatedly in official documents, not guesswork or hearsay. They show a statewide pattern that rarely shifts upward. When a state publishes prices this low in multiple counties at the same time, the message is unmistakable. Long-term residents are welcome, supported, and included in the financial planning of these communities. Another major factor is the state's cost structure for insurance and vehicle registration. Oklahoma maintains some of the lowest registration fees in the region, and long-term insurance quotes often fall far below what neighboring states offer. When someone transitions from a high-cost region into Oklahoma, the combined savings from site fees, insurance, and registration can easily reach several $1,000s per year. That impact becomes even more significant for anyone living on a predictable monthly income where every steady number provides security. Utility expenses stay under control as well. Oklahoma's electrical rates remain lower than the national average, and many parks bundle electricity into their monthly fee. When you pay a flat rate, you eliminate the unpredictability that often comes with heating, cooling, and seasonal fluctuations. Add in the availability of affordable propane fills across the state, and the monthly cost of living in an RV becomes not only affordable, but exceptionally stable. Stability is often overlooked, yet it is one of the strongest financial advantages Oklahoma offers. The environment also plays a role. Oklahoma parks rarely experience the overcrowding that drives up rates in other states. With more space and fewer seasonal bottlenecks, competition stays high, and pricing remains grounded. The result is a market where long-term residents do not feel squeezed out or pressured by heavy tourism. Availability stays consistent, stress stays low, and costs stay anchored to community needs rather than short-term profit cycles created by inflated visitor demand during peak holiday months. Oklahoma's advantages come with a few brief spikes in certain counties during rodeo seasons or oil field shifts. Yet nearby areas usually keep normal rates, preserving affordability. When you add the consistently low pad fees, reasonable insurance, steady registration costs, fair electrical pricing, and wide availability, the picture becomes clear. Oklahoma delivers the lowest overall cost for long-term RV living, built on predictable, competitive, straightforward pricing, rather than temporary promotions or seasonal incentives. If this changed how you think about RV costs, don't just scroll on. Comment which of these 5 states you'd actually park your rig in, or share your own cheap spot so others can see what's possible. Hit like if this helped you, and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into real-world RV savings.